This is the Elevate Construction Podcast, delivering remarkable content for workers, leaders, and companies in construction wanting to take their next step. Get ready to step out of your comfort zone with Jason Schroeder as he encourages you to do better, live a remarkable life, and expect more. Let's go.
Welcome to the Elevate Construction Podcast, where we improve the lives of foremen and workers everywhere. My name is Jason Schroeder, and today's shorter podcast is about personal development. This one is for foremen on Saturdays. So please share this podcast with anybody who might find it beneficial, especially foremen. This will be short today. So let me tell you a story of a foreman who was really into personal development, not only for himself, but for others. And I noticed him when we were building a mild reinforced concrete building with shear walls and concrete columns. He would go around and do nothing but teach his crew. I mean, he got materials, manpower, and information set up, but he would go around and teach people. And I remember one little concept, one little moment that just stuck out in my mind. Once they were stripping walls, they stripped the walls, took them down to clean them, scrape them, and oil the formwork to go to the next set of walls. He would tell the carpenters, not just the finishers, he told the carpenters, hey, when you strip this wall, all of this cream, this cement that has rolled out of the bottom, you need to scrape that off so that they don't have to do that at a later date and actually grind it down and patch it. You need to clean that up. You need to make sure that all of the corners are stoned down and that everything is swept perfect. Beautiful. Let's replace the plywood on this formwork before we go up to the next section. Let's prep it. Let's lay out all the lines. He was there with the crew, teaching them best habits, best practices. And I really liked that. He was showing them what to do and what not to do. In fact, he was really passionate about creating a daily 5-minute learning library for the company that he worked for. And I remember that the craft really got a lot better once he arrived on site as a foreman. And I was very impressed. He was into personal development. He had received personal development and training before, and he was going to share that with his guys and gals out there in the field. So I think the question that we need to ask to all foremen, all of you foremen out there who are wonderful, what is missing from your career? I bet most of you, if you're like me, I grew up as a concrete finisher and then made my way up through an apprenticeship program. And then I just had to fend for myself. We get thrown into this with very little training. And then if somebody has the capacity to lead others, they're told, hey, you go become a foreman, you lead your people. But there's very little professional development that's available or provided to people. And that really is a shame. We need to take time to train others. And you, foremen, need to take time to make sure that you are trained to train yourself and to get the right personal development that you need. So here's a question. How do you start? The answer is by respecting yourself enough to go get it. You have to go grab it. You have to get it. You have to ask for it. You have to budget it. Sometimes you might even have to spend your own money. I remember Tony Robbins in one of his events saying that he was going to pay for a course that I think it was like $250. It may have been less than that back in the day before inflation, but he was asked to go to a Jim Rohn event and he had to pay for it himself. And he said it was very, very difficult for him to pay for that course because it was 1 or 2 weeks of pay for him and he didn't have a lot of money. But that course springboarded him to new levels of success and fulfillment, which led to others, which led to others, which led to others. And now you know that, Tony Robbins is a multimillionaire. He runs businesses, over $6 billion worth of annual gross revenue and is just an amazing influencer throughout the world. If you want coaching from Tony, it's $1 million a year. I mean, that's a really good price to be paid for your services. This man has become famous, and it all springboarded from that first course that he bought himself from Jim Rohn. Now, I do want to make the point, if we don't buy it ourselves, we typically don't appreciate it the way that we need to. But getting the training, getting the personal development is crucial for you in your career. You need this. And I'm sure there's some of you foremen out there, if this podcast was forwarded to you, or if you listen to this podcast by yourself on your own accord, you're probably saying, I don't really need all this training. I can figure it out. And hey, that might be true. Okay, so I'll go with you on that. But there is a difference between need and want. So do you want to make your units, your finances, and make money with the crews that you're overseeing? Do you want to reduce or eliminate accidents, safety accidents entirely? Do you want to have a trained team that you absolutely love working with without a lot of interpersonal drama that's unhealthy? Do you want to be on time with all of your assignments? Do you want a better way of scheduling? Do you want fulfillment, really feeling like you're making a difference, knowing that you're relevant on site? Do you want more success, more money, more pride in your work? Those would be some motivations for you to go get personal development training. So just remember this, how you do one thing is how you do everything. And so all of our little micro actions matter. All of our beliefs matter. Everything that we do matters. And if you see a poor person, they probably have poor thoughts. In fact, I'm going to amend that. If you see a poor person, they definitely have poor thoughts. If you see a mediocre person, they definitely have mediocre thoughts. If you see somebody who acts in a racist way, they have racist thoughts. Everything that somebody thinks will come out in actions. And so the way that we guide our futures and we leverage more effectiveness is to change the things we believe and improve those. And that comes from personal development. How we do one thing is how we do everything. Now, if we do want to talk about maybe if you need personal development, professional development or not, how would you like to have less stress? How would you like to have less frustration, less waste, less being behind the eight ball, less day in and day out being in the same grind and coming home and complaining about it? That could also be a motivation. And so my recommendation would be to do training every day with your people. And the reason I start with that first is because in order to say things to people, in order to teach things to people, in order to preach things to people, in order to have something to say, your mind has to be full of good and true concepts. You have to be well read. You have to have taken trainings. You have to have learned these things. You have to be excellent. You have to be constantly improving. So if you force yourself, you say, me as a foreman, at a minimum, I'm going to train everyone that I work with for 5 minutes every day. That will force you to go learn the amount of things that you need to learn to have enough concepts to share. And so I've already talked in a previous podcast about the 25-minute foreman huddle in the mornings where you set up your crew, do your pre-task plans, do 5 or 3S'ing, talk about the 8 wastes, go through and do a little bit of training. That is a perfect way to train in addition to coaching people throughout the day. Now, I do want to give you a little resource here to make this different than the last podcast where I talked about the 25-minute foreman huddle. I purchased recently some fantastic books, and this is from Breslin Industries. I've mentioned this a little bit before. He has, and I'm flipping through them right here, he has a book called The 5-Minute Foreman with lessons that cover 5 minutes of training every day. I'm also looking at a book called The Alpha Dog, and the subtitle is Leading, Managing, and Motivating in the Construction Industry by Mark Breslin. The other one is Survival of the Fittest, How the Future of Construction Depends on Every Journeyman, Every Apprentice, and You. There's some fantastic resources. There's online learning courses. He's done a really good job. Some other resources that I would recommend, start out with the book 2 Second Lean. Or if you want other lists of books, I can absolutely give you that. Or you can go to some professional trainings. There's also one that I would recommend, which is the Lean Fundamentals course from Lean Core. And you can log on to their website and order that course. It's about $160. There are a lot of things that can be done. I would also say you can take the Elevate Construction Foreman Mastermind and then the Elevate Construction Bootcamp and reference the books and the online content that will come out in the future. But the bottom line is you have to invest in your most important asset. Are you investing in a home? That's an investment in the future. Did you buy a certain vehicle? That's an investment in the future. Did you put some money in stocks? That's an investment in the future. Are you doing these things? Do you have a savings account? Well, why not make an investment in your most important asset, which is your mind? And so my challenge would be take 5 minutes, 10 minutes, 15 minutes, 20 minutes every day to give yourself personal development and training, but also go search, get on Google, ask around, and search for that first professional development course for you. You know, and it doesn't have to be that complicated. Like if I think back when I was a finisher, some of the things that my mentors would teach me, I think of really simple things. So like real quick, before we go too far on this podcast, think of 3 things right now that you've been taught from foremen or superintendents or from mentors in the past? Like 3 quick things while you're driving, while you're sitting there, while you're listening to this, wherever you are, think of 3 things. I'll give you like 20 seconds here. Okay, what'd you come up with? Well, obviously I can't hear you, but I would love to. One of the things that I was taught when I was a finisher is leave nothing for the placement the next day. My foreman said, all safety should be done, all cleaning should be done, all organizing should be done, the screed rods should be out, all of the screed pins should be set, the laser should be ready, batteries put in, everything ready to go. It should be sprayed down, visqueen ready, everything. Don't leave anything for that placement for the next day. Number 2, lift with my knees and think about the easiest way of doing things. When I was first an apprentice, I would get in the back of the truck and I would grab a bag of cement or something, patching material, and I would haul it to the end of the truck, hop off with my knees, and then walk it to where I was going, and I'd go back and forth. And I prided myself on being a hard worker, but I wasn't doing it effectively. And so I was taught by some of my early leaders, okay, why don't you move these to the edge of the tailgate? That way you don't have to bend down, get help. And then when you get down on the bottom, all you have to do is lift at waist height and do it where the truck is closest to where you're delivering these things. Really think about my motion, my movement, the ergonomics of the situation. How could I make things easiest on my back? The other thing is I was finishing some tilt panels on a prison out in Victorville, California, and I had my margin trowel and my mag float and all of my tools and my brushes and everything all over the place. And somebody once said, kid, you got to get yourself organized. So I went and got a dolly, and I asked my dad to help me fasten on some milk crates to the bottom and to the middle, and some other pipes to hold my tools. And then I would put in my poles, my finishing tools, everything in the bucket. I had my bag in there, my lunch, everything. And it was remarkable. I was able to just haul that from the back of my truck out to where I was working. And I remember one day, one person, the guy running the bull float, he was like, hey kid, move your rig over there. It's in my way. And I really thought that was fun because I was able to more effectively work because somebody was verbally and actively coaching me. And so that's what people expect from you. Now think about those 3 things that you thought. How many more things that you've been taught could you be sharing? And now consider this. A person needs to hear something 7 different times before it comes real to them. That's right. That means whatever you're teaching your workers, they have to hear it 7 times minimum for it to stick and for it to then to become a behavior, especially if you follow the Boy Scout method of explain something, demonstrate it, guide them through it, and enable them to do it themselves. So you must repeat yourself, and you must allow them to go through the phases of learning of explain, demonstrate, guide, and enable, which means that we need to be multiplying the amount of communicating and training that you're doing times 10. And the challenge that I would give you is to go start training every day, receive training, read from books, take trainings on a continual basis, and go right now and purchase that first professional development course. And if you want, email me, tell me the thing that you want to learn. I will go find it for you and email you the resource. I promise you that. And so in closing, the vision for this is that you get the amount of attention that you need. Foremen lead everything on site, and they're the people that receive the least amount of professional development. We have to change that. On we go.
Please join us next time in elevating the entire construction experience for workers, leaders, and companies coast to coast. If you're enjoying the show, please feel free to share with your construction colleagues and help us spread the word by rating, subscribing, and leaving a review on your preferred podcast listening platform. We really appreciate it. We'll catch you next time on the Elevate Construction Podcast.